I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky. I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you'd like. Do you have a story to tell? Like the words scrolling to this song on TikTok? Do you have a voice that's hidden so deep inside that you can't get your words out? Well, today I'm going to share with you how I learned how to unleash my voice. I walked into a lawyer's office and was escorted to a room in the back. The room was small and suffocating. A police officer walked in and sat next to me, and we waited. I was about to face my abuser for the first time in 25 years. He sexually and emotionally abused me from infancy to age 18. The last time I saw this person, I was in a courtroom, and his eyes pierced through me like lasers. As I dared to speak up, I said, "Your Honor, please have no mercy on him as he has had no mercy on me." The judge that day sentenced him to 17 and a half years in prison for the horrendous abuse that we had suffered. The man I was about to face was my father. He did his normal. He was manipulating. He walked into the room, hobbling with a walker, his white hair blurred. The only sound in the room was his gasping of air, as though he was trying to catch his every breath. And then he sat at the table across from me. This time I had the floor. I took a deep breath and recounted everything that he had done to me. The emotional abuse, the sexual abuse, the sodomy, the rape, the incest, and I did everything in graphic detail. I wanted him to hear what he had done to me and how he stripped my childhood away, one moment at a time. I then recounted what had happened to my brother and the abuse that he had suffered and endured. You see, our father was calculated and manipulative, and he groomed us year after year, and we didn't know each other were being abused in the same exact home. I thought I was protecting my mother and my brother by doing everything he expected me to do, and it was all just a lie. At the end of that 45 minutes, which was really powerful if you ask me, I said, "Hey, do you have anything you want to say?" You see, I wanted an apology from my father, like most survivors want, right? We long for our abuser to feel bad. You know what he said? He looked at me and he said, he had been forgiven. He said that he could tell that my heart was hardened against him and that I should search for forgiveness too. I stood up tall from that seat and I leaned into him and I said, I don't want any part of your forgiveness or anyone who would forgive a man for fondling and sexually abusing his infant daughter. Then I said, you know what? You didn't ruin my life and you didn't destroy me. And I walked out of the room. Then I proceeded to drive to the local pub and have the largest Bloody Mary you have ever seen. And not that I am a proponent or suggesting that you need to drink, but I'll just tell you that I wanted to celebrate in that moment. He no longer had control over me, my life, or my voice. Because you know what? The abuse silences us as survivors. That voice, that inner child, that small, meek, quiet person is just held and silenced. And that's what I'm talking about today, is unleashing that voice. After I first tried to unleash my voice in that courtroom, I found that I'm unleashing my voice more often and I'm louder than ever before. There was times I thought I would take this to my grave, that I would never, ever tell a soul. But when my brother was able to speak up about his abuse, I knew that I had to speak up about mine. You know, the first time I tried to tell, I was about 7th grade. I was at a youth group meeting, and I just pulled all the courage that I could muster. I raised my hand, and I blurted out, "My father has a different kind of love for me." And the youth leader said to me, "Oh, Pennie, all fathers have a different kind of love for their daughters." Well, if your youth group leader says this is normal, it must be true, right? But I didn't give up there. I knew there would be another opportunity. And so I tried again. Does anybody know the song Islands in the Stream? Yeah. Okay. I played it all the time. I love that song. Islands in the stream, that is what we are, right? One particular day, I decided that maybe if I record on the tape what was happening. So I stopped the song, I pushed the record button, and I said, my father is molesting me. And then I played the song again. Someone had to hear it, right? Someone had to find that tape sometime. I wasn't going to give up. I kept fighting and I kept trying. 2014, my mother lost her battle to lung cancer. One of the hardest things I've ever had to do. But it was also one of the most powerful moments that I've ever been through. The shame had a debilitating hold over me because I did not want my mother to have to ever experience the details of what happened. You see, our father was so calculated that he also was abusing her and so silenced all of us at the same time. But her death was permission. Her death granted me the permission to finally and fully speak out and unleash my voice. Shortly thereafter, I realized that the $5 million judgment against my father, he would never have to pay a dime. Because his retirement, his military retirement, was protected by the U.S. government. So I vowed that I would fight for legislation for the Child Abuse Accountability Enhancement Act. I worked my local congresswoman for a couple of years. It took quite a while. And in 2017, it was finally passed into federal law, so that children behind us would not have to suffer what we suffered, battling through the healing about figuring out counseling and how to pay those bills on your own. You know, the other day, someone said to me, you talk about this all the time. What's your motive? What do you want? Do you want us just to be talking about abuse over the oranges in the grocery aisle? Yes, that's what I want. I want to normalize this conversation so much that we're talking about it over the oranges in the grocery aisle. I want to shatter the shame and blow silence out of the water. Because you know what? As a survivor, it is so taboo. People look at you like, I have to disclaim what I'm going to say. I've already had this weekend in Boston about 12 people say to me, I've never told anybody. Well, survivors in this room, I want to challenge you to join me in this movement and start small. If your abuser is someone in your family, find someone you trust, someone you respect, someone that you feel brave with, and tell them. You could write it on a piece of paper, burn it in the fireplace. Record your voice memo on your phone. Whatever it takes. We have survivor groups, peer support groups that are private and secret. Come and talk to me. Call me up. We are standing tall together. Adults in this room, the onus is on you. I ask you to get educated, to learn, to educate others, to talk to your children, to believe us when we speak out. Talk about sexual abuse over the oranges in the grocery aisle. And if you want to talk oranges, I'm your gal. I'm here. Let's talk about it. You see, unleashing my voice, that small voice inside of me that was silenced all those years, 7,433 days, it allowed me to be on this red dot tier today in front of you. It allowed me to fight for state and federal legislation. It allowed me to write my memoir, Brave and Unbroken. It allowed me to speak up for those who have yet to unleash their voices, to write a blog and talk about my experiences, and to break the generational cycle of abuse in my family. It's tough to hear. This is absolutely tough to hear. But I'm not going to apologize. I'm not here to make anyone comfortable. But I'm here to break the silence and unleash my voice, and hopefully many of you will unleash your voice. The time is now. Survivors, you matter. There's so much work that we have to do, and I just ask all of you to stand with me. Let's start a movement, and let's do something. Let's create platforms like John Warner's doing right here. Let's create spaces and places everywhere so that women and men who are being abused can speak out, so that we can prevent child abuse and hopefully eventually eradicate this pandemic. And I guarantee you, with the pandemic that we're currently in, more children are being abused right now than ever that will never, ever, ever speak out. So I beg of you, survivors, unleash your voices. Talk to me, talk to somebody. And adults, step up and stand out for us and for yourselves and your children. Thank you.